Greetings, friends and fellow cigar box guitar enthusiasts. Del Puckett here, and I am going to cram as much cigar box guitar related information into this video as possible. But guys, stick around to the end because I am going to tell you the story on how I acquired this authentic Stevie Ray Vaughan guitar pick. All right, let's get started. Quick shout out to Brandon at American Heritage Guitars. He reached out and wanted me to make him a heart-shaped saddle for a cigar box guitar that he's building for his daughter who's getting married. So anyhow, shout out to Brandon. There you go, buddy. Boom, 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 boom. So I've been slow walking this build here. This is an antique box. And I just got done putting the piezo in it and then carving out the notch under here so that the top doesn't touch. But next I am going to stain it. And when you stain these things, it super transforms them. It's like they actually turn into real cigar box guitar necks. And I wanted the stain to somewhat match the box. So that's what I'm going to do right now after I change my hat. This box here is screaming for some Brazilian rosewood. So I also wanted to point out here, so this box here had these tacks that were in there, and I think I'm just going to leave them in there. Why? Just because. Shh. I got these upgraded tuners from cbgiddy.com, and this thickness right here is 3/8. So I got a 3/8 bit and drill this out, and I did this while y'all weren't looking. One thing that I am OCD about, that I think y'all need to be OCD about, is straight string pull. What do I mean by that? So the strings are going to be coming up, coming over your nut or your 0 fret, and I like them to go straight. I don't like them to bend at an angle. I like them to come straight and then wrap around. This one here, center one will come up straight-ish, and then wrap around here. And then this one up will come up straight here and wrap around here. So in order to do that, you have to really be intentional about where you put your holes. Don't you just love the smell of stain? Not only does it look good, but it smells good. One of the other things that I recommend doing, if you got a box, is to paint the inside black. You don't have to do this, but it makes the inside of the box mysterious. And so another thing too is sometimes when you put your blocks in and they're not exactly the right height, well, you can just put some washers in there. So I got some washers, glued those washers in, and now it's muy perfect. And so I'm just going to spray them. The reason why I'm going to spray them is because these blocks here, you can see when I look in, when it's all closed up, and I look inside there, I can actually see. I know you can't see it, but I can see it, especially when I got my reading glasses. I look in there and I can see, oh. So I'm just gonna dab it with a little bit of this. Oh yeah, magic. You don't need to do the back one over here because it's out of sight. But now that one there, when you look in, will not be able to see it. And just in case you're wondering about this piezo, it is embedded in hot glue directly underneath where the saddle is going to be. And I will show you real quick. So what I do is I get one of these kind of bits and I measure exactly where it needs to be. Now this is exactly 20 inches from the nut or the 0 to where the saddle is going to be. And that's exactly half the distance between that and the double dot. So in this case here, this will be 10 inches and then 10 inches. However you want to measure it, it's got to be exact. This here is exactly where it needs to be. So I just gouge that out deep enough for the piezo to sit in there. Now when it comes to piezos, you can get them in all different sizes and shapes. When it comes to piezos, you can get itty bitty piezos or you can get big piezos. When it comes to piezos, guys, size matters. We're going to go with the big one. And all I do is I just cut around these. I did get these at the cbgitty.com, and I just cut the little plastic ring around it, so it's the perfect size for the hole. So real quick, the way I do my piezos is I fill this with hot glue, then I put the piezo there, and then I fill it with more hot glue. Then I put a napkin over it, and while it's still hot, hot, I'll put it in the box, and then smash the box closed, and then let it dry like that, and that ensures that this underside here is perfectly flush with the top side of the box, strategically right underneath where the saddle is going to go. If you haven't done it that way, I suggest that you try it. Salute! Here's another way that you can raise your neck. So like I said, we can put a shim in there or a washer, or you can just get those flat screws that everybody has just laying around and adjust those to the height that you need. And so now you have an adjustable thing that you can adjust to adjust the height of your neck to get it exactly where you need it to be. And just in case you need something else to be obsessed about, make sure that your neck is perfectly square. You definitely don't want your neck to be so yeah, so measure the perfect squareness before you drill that guy there, and then that'll ensure that your neck is nice and square. Now the other thing is you can go online, right, and get these little stickers. This one here is like 1.5 inches, whatever. Guys, that works perfect over your piezo. Make sure the hot goes to the hot and the ground goes to the ground. Have you ever stained over a cigar box? I'm only staining the parts of the wood that's sticking out. Where the paper has eroded. Kind of darkening it up with this Brazilian rosewood. Plus, I want to kind of have a color connection between the box and the neck, just for contrast purposes. So, oh, I missed a spot right there. And all the paper that's tore, that's kind of white, darkened like this, and it just kind of gives it a nice. Trust me, I'm old. I'm older than old, look. And the next time you spill your screws accidentally, get yourself a magnet. Picks it up real nice and easy. Every once in a while, it's a good idea to take inventory. The other day I was poking around in the boxes up there, and I forgot that I had all of these Purple Heart perfectly cut for saddles. A bunch of these blanks. And I was like, oh man, I totally forgot all about these things. This is the Purple Heart Pre. This thing says flawless finish. Man, that is smooth, smooth, smooth. So I'm using a 34 gauge, 24, and 17, and the top two are wound. And I'm going with the old finishing nail through the hole, through the hinge trick. Well, I ended up making 3 saddles. One was too low, the other one was too high. This is the Goldilocks one right here. So I got 2 extras for future builds. So we are tuned C, G, C. Well, the first thing I noticed is how loud this thing is. My gosh, this thing is loud.
Man, I'm really amazed at the sound that's coming out of this box. It's all acoustic, unplugged. You guys have heard of a Marshall stack before, right? Well, have you heard of a Vox stack? We even have the classic rock for the cherry on top. All right, no reverb, just regular tone. And when you run out of things to practice, try this. Little banjo rolls. Your thumb on the bass string, index finger, middle string, middle finger, high string. So I start off with all my fingers on them and just roll them. And of course you can do hammers and pulls over here. And then of course you gotta pick your string like that, especially on the harmonics. And then you can do the... All right, so before I get into the story on how I got this Stevie Ray Vaughan guitar pick, I did want to give you guys a flyover drive-by. So notice the corners, the patina, same thing with the hinge. That's some genuine gunk.
course, I have the buffalo nickel up here. I opted for one of the corners to be left alone. And of course, I did hit the whole thing with the same color stain, so you're going to see highlights of that Brazilian rosewood here and there. Some of the paper that came off of the back here, I tried to salvage for the top here. I just kind of glued it on to kind of give it a just a tie-in over here as well. Okay, that's it. That is it. What a fun guitar to play, my gosh. Oh yeah, so as far as this thing here, so it was October 18th, 1985. This is a true story. We went to the Stevie Ray Vaughan concert in Albuquerque, New Mexico at a place called the Civic Auditorium. 1985, gosh, I would have been 20 years old. And you know me, I got to be front row up against the... I remember him doing the sound check duty. He was playing his guitar, he'd smoke a cigarette, blow the smoke into the lights. And he had a bunch of amps all lined up. Box amps, as a matter of fact. All lined up. And I think it was part of the show. He would come out and I could see his boots right there, right? He was going back and forth. And he walked up to one of the amps and kicked it over with his foot. I was just like, oh, dang, dude. That was a sound check. So when he came out and he played. It was right toward the end of the concert. It was at the end of the concert. He was playing and he flicked his pick out and it hit me right here on the shoulder and bounced into the crowd kind of behind me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was looking, you know, it was still chaotic. And I could see that nobody else was paying attention. Nobody else saw the pick or grabbed the pick or anything. So I knew it was on the ground. And so I tried to memorize where I was at on the floor. And so sure enough, man, at the end of the concert, when they turned on the lights, people started walking away and I started looking in the ground in the area where that pick was. And sure enough, man, I picked up the pick. So that was almost 40 years ago, literally almost 40 years ago. Well, anyhow, so the plot thickens. I put this into my pick stash. Well, anyhow, I was probably about 1995. I was working at Intel, and one of my work buddies didn't believe that I had to get it. And of course, I wanted to brag and show it. So I took this guitar pick to work with me. And I don't know what happened. I do not know what happened, but for some reason the pick went missing. And man, I was just like so bummed out. I thought, man, there might have been a hole in my pocket or something because I just wasn't real careful. Years went by and my wife got pregnant and with our second child because I had to reach for the maternity clothes up on the shelf. So I remember getting the stool out, a little step stool, ladder, reaching up for the maternity clothes. And as I was pulling it off of the shelf, what should come falling in slow motion? Right in front of me. I was like, hallelujah. And it landed there on the ground. And so I picked it up and I was like, yes, I got it again. Yay. And then the plot thickens. It was a number of years later. I think it was in the early 2000s. I was in the Intel break room heating up my burrito, and I picked up a magazine and I was thumbing through the magazine. And as I was thumbing through the magazine, this page went by, and it was a. So I went back and I started reading it, and there was this guy. He's a pick collector. His name is Phil. I can only spell the last name. Gajewski. Phil Jajewski. You can see that here. Anyhow, so as I read through the article, he talked about how he got started doing collecting picks and his passion and all of his, how he got going. And then it came down here to the end of the article. He started talking about the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail. And here, I'll read it to you here. It says here, the most sought after pick is an authentic Stevie Ray Vaughan pick. I'm like going, whoa, what? I got a Stevie Ray Vaughan guitar pick. It says here, those go for upwards of $1,000 because he's among the top guitarists ever and he's dead. Therefore, the number of his picks is finite. And he wasn't big on giving them out. I'd love to get my hands on one. You can read it right there. See, I'm not lying to you guys. I ain't lying to you. So anyhow, his email was on here. So I emailed him. Hey, Phil, I got a Stevie Ray Vaughan guitar pick. And he goes, yeah, send me a picture. So I sent him a picture of this. Boom. And then immediately he sent a picture back. He goes, you have one. And which I knew I had one, but he automatically, instantly identified it as genuine and authentic. So I was like wondering, how on earth could somebody just identify that this is a genuine, authentic? I mean, because man, you would think that this would be super easy to counterfeit, right? Obviously. Anyhow, so this is a genuine one. And how do I know? Because I was there and I caught it, got it, picked it up off the floor. And now I got to confirm. Well, I mean, it's not, I don't need confirmation, but this guy identified that it was legit. So that proves to me that he knows that it's legit. Guys, that's it. That is it for this video. I'm going to put a little hook on this thing here. Oh yeah, and I'm going to display this in an art gallery in Jemez Springs. In the meantime, before it goes to its rightful owner. Take care, guys. God bless. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.